Now I'm going to entertain a motion to open the dangerous dog dangerousness nuisance hearing.
Based on all the information you received today, you'll make a determination whether or not the dog's dangerous, a nuisance, or neither. And if there's a designation that the dog is a danger or it's a nuisance dog, there's some remedies that you can put in place.
An alleged incident where on February 6, 2022, at approximately 5:00 p.m., your dog bit Mona Benoit 3 times inside your residence, from which Miss Benoit suffered vicious wounds, as stated by the Anna Jaggs Hospital emergency room nurse who cared for her.
Attorney Cohen, do you have any questions that you have?
I do, of the animal control officer. What would you, do you want me to stand there? Do you want to have her come up?
Any way you want.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Actually, the
The
microphone
Yeah,
is what
why don't
goes out over the television air, so
why don't you come up here?
Is the dog owner here? Could you raise your hand? Thank you.
Maybe they can both stand up.
Yeah, I think if you both stand here, that would be helpful.
Okay. My name is Jeremy Cohen, and my law firm is Boston Dog Lawyers, and I represent Jim Pearson. I have a few questions for the animal control. In reading the police report, there's 4 witnesses that the town puts a lot of time into to find out that there were times where he was walking the dog without a muzzle. And you sent him a letter. So the perception is that he was in violation of an order because he was ordered by you to have the dog with a muzzle on.
correct.
The problem is, you issued, and this is in the police report, you issued an order of canine restraint. Remember this?
Yes.
Okay. And it says MGL 140-157, right? Okay. So can you tell me who authorized you to do this, to issue an order of restraint?
Well, it's in my job description to protect the public, so I ordered the dog to be muzzled. Muzzle order.
Who ordered, under 140-157? Can you point to me where you have the authority to issue such an order? Because you put it at the top of the list as being authoritative because it fell under 140-157. So it must be an order that he violated because you said it. You said 140-157. I will tell you there is nowhere under the law that you have the authority to issue a muzzle order. Yet you told him that under the law, I am issuing a muzzle order. So what you did was, and then the police said to the witnesses, please call us again if you see this. So you enabled the deputizing of the neighborhood to rat on him if they saw him without a muzzle, thinking that he was violating an order. So you've already convinced the board that he was in violation of a muzzle order, but you didn't have the legal authority, nor you, to put in a muzzle order. You cite 140-157, but 140-157, as you see, begins after a person files a complaint and the hearing authority gets involved in terms of conducting an investigation. And only after a hearing like this can a muzzle order be put in. So the idea that you were acting under 140-157, that actually, by restraining the dog and putting restraint and sort of taking his property and that freedom away, you actually overstepped your bounds as a police officer. So
I instructed her to do that, and I would do it again. It was the proper thing to do while there was a process to determine what the safest thing to do is. So if you have a problem with how that process was done, I told her to do that.
Okay, so tell me, why would you have issued an order under 140-157 when there hadn't been a hearing and when you have no legal authority to do that?
My understanding is, before there's a hearing, that's the interim to keep the situation. You can shake your head, but regardless of what the paper says, that was the right thing to do.
Well, but regardless of what the paper says, you have people believing that he was in violation of an order that was, there was no order. There
Then-
couldn't have been an
Then
order.
address that part of it with your dissertation, don't address the safety
wanna
precautions we
know-
put in place. That's what my
No,
suggestion is.
The police don't get to use the law without it actually applying. So my point is, I want to know, did you look at 14157 and say he can have let's just muzzle the dog? Because you tell him you did.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling the board that, hey, we have a law here that he violated, but he didn't violate the law, right?
I have no problem saying, sure, if there's something in there that does not give me that authority to instruct her when she came to me and asked me how to handle it, sure, I'll take that responsibility that, yes, I told her to put that temporary order until the hearing process is done.
Okay.
As far as removing liberties and such like that, there was no decision made other than, let's keep the dog safe. And as far as if anybody was elicited as deputizing to watch and report things, we always encourage the neighborhood and people in this community to report anything that concerns them to us.
Okay.
And those concerns are being reflected here, and if there's a problem with the substance of those concerns, I suggest that those are the concerns that you address here, not our actions to try to safeguard while we're waiting for this process to happen.
But I am here.
Okay, good.
I am here. I am addressing them here.
Okay, good.
You did not have the authority to do that.
Okay,
Okay? I've addressed my concern.
that's
I
your
want to know
position.
where you,
okay.
well, so I'm not,
I'm sorry if I introduced myself to this, but I'm with my employee.
That's okay.
okay, but the point is, while I understand the muzzle
Mm-hmm.
order, and actually it's worked quite well, what hasn't worked is now, these folks are of the opinion that there was an order in place that he violated. You even stood up here earlier and said, I asked him to use the muzzle. So you even said in your testimony that you asked. So my point just is this,
Don't tell me what my opinion is. Thank you.
when have I told you your opinion?
You said that is our opinion.
Well, no, I said she can influence the
Go
opinion.
through me.
We go all night then. This was wrong. Okay, so I just want to make the point, and then we can move on to more substantive stuff, that he was not in violation of an order. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. He was not in violation of an order. Now we can move forward.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
I put myself in this and I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, thank you.
Town
I have another
council,
question for the
our
animal
town
officer.
council agrees with that reading of that law that way, that the chief doesn't really have the ability for emergency
I
to.
don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you need to just go through me.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
have another question for the animal control officer. Just one more.
Yeah,
As the
Carol?
animal inspector. You do both, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do.
So a medical doctor has a legal requirement to notify the animal inspector or the animal control officer when there's a bite, correct?
Correct, it comes from the hospital.
Okay. And you got a notification from the hospital?
Yes, it goes to the police department, and they let me know there's a bite report.
Okay. And then you called the hospital here?
No, I didn't call the hospital.
When did you speak with Barb? Who spoke with
Oh,
Barb?
yes, I wanted to know the extent of the wounds, because at that time I had no picture to go by.
Okay. But isn't the purpose
I
of
wanted to make
notifying-
sure that it was it was a bite that went, into the skin. Because if it goes through the person's skin, then I have to quarantine the dog for 10 days. You get a bite report, you have to quarantine the dog for 10 days.
Understood. Because of the concern about rabies, right?
Correct.
Not anything to do with the behavior of the dog.
No,
Okay.
it is a rabies.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right,
So-
correct.
Getting that bite report, which indicated there was a bite through the skin? right?
Correct, yeah.
But you still called the nurse, Barb?
Yes,
Okay. And through her, you were able to glean what her opinion of the bites were, right? She used the word vicious.
no, she did not use the word, well, she said it was a real bad bite.
Well, in your report, you
All
said
right.
she said it was a vicious
Okay,
bite.
she said it was very bad, yeah.
Well, no, she said
She
it was
has-
a vicious bite.
All right, I'm sorry.
So
Yes.
vicious just has a connotation to it. So I'm just wondering, as animal inspector, was this person authorized to share medical information with you beyond what the report required? I mean,
I
this is-
have
how is
no
that not in
idea
violation
that,
of HIPAA?
I don't know. I have no
And
idea.
is it typical for the animal inspector to call the medical facility when there's a bite?
I don't know, that's the first time I ever had
Okay.
because I heard of how bad it was.
Okay.
No, I have never done it before.
Okay.
It always comes to me,
Thank you.
all the info. Thank you, sir.
Just need 1 second. No questions of Mr. Bernard, thank you.
You done?
Yes, thank you.
Do you have any?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I bring up our witnesses, just want to make a quick statement, and that is this, that having spent time with Mr. Pearson, I don't represent every pet owner who comes to me whose dog bites somebody. And this is just such an odd situation because it happens to be his long-term girlfriend. And he got the dog in January. So it's a dog that's relatively new to him, but not a relatively new dog. It's about 4 years old, 3 to 4 years old, weighs about 70 pounds. His original owners, Epic's original owners, had to turn Epic over to a shelter because they were moving. And my client spoke with them, Mr. Pearson spoke with them, they were moving, they loved the dog. They assert no prior issues. And so does the rescue that sent the dog to Mr. Pearson. But of course I went to his house and met him and saw him walking the dog. I said, why? Why not just, it's so close to home, why don't you just put the dog down? He said, because I haven't given it a shot yet. It's not fair to him. I haven't spent the right time. I haven't been the right manager of him. I don't even know the dog yet. That is a last resort. I want to put some effort into him first. I feel like I owe him some effort. And so once I heard that, I realized I owe him some effort. And I can tell you that the animal control officer spent a lot of her report saying he didn't rehome the dog. I told him to rehome it or euthanize it. Well, first of all, the idea of rehoming should never come from a government official because it's unlawful. But secondly, you know what? He did rehome the dog. He moved with his dog to 36 Cottage from 32. That might not be the resolution we'd want if we had a long-term relationship with somebody, but that's a relationship he wanted to have, and he still has, and he wanted to be with his dog and spend time training him and getting to know him and see if he can turn this dog around. And part of doing that was he went to Canine Edge in Peabody, and there's 2 witnesses you'll hear from tonight who have spent 7 sessions with Mr. Pearson and with his dog Epic. The key is with both of them. And from the day that they started, I've seen a report card where Mr. Pearson, he was not a good dog owner. There were simple commands that this dog didn't even know yet, and that's the previous owner's fault too. But he didn't have good recall, couldn't go do a down, almost not even a sit, and he was easily distracted. And that's on the dog, but it's on the dog owner, especially when he wants to take responsibility to try to fix this. And from week 1 to week 7, you'll hear the progression as how he has got better as a manager of the dog, and how he's willing to take the responsibility of muzzling his dog, of 3-foot leashing his dog, and of ongoing training with this dog. There are so many things to do before you kill a dog. And part of what you'll hear tonight from the trainers are all the things that can be done, because we're too smart to just say a dog bit, so kill it. There are too many other things to try first. And amazingly, what you'll hear is that they're actually putting him on a track for what's called the AKC CGC, the American Kennel Club Certificate of Good Citizenship, Canine Good Citizenship Certificate. In order to get that, you have to go through a 10-part test. The evaluators are trained by AKC. Not anybody can train to it. And the trainers actually believe that Epic could pass this test, and a lot of dogs don't pass it on the first time. But the beauty of the AKC CGC is that it requires both the owner and the dog to go to training and to do a lot of homework at their house. They've been doing that homework. given all the circumstances and all the weird twists and turns that this case could have because of their relationship, Mr. Pearson has made the commitment to his dog. So we're asking you tonight to make the commitment to him, to at least give him an opportunity to continue to work with his dog.
You good? Jay?
You're probably going to re-clarify this, but we're voting on 1 through 5. Is
1
that?
through 5, and we're gonna.
Jerry's already read them all.
Yeah, that's the motion on the table. We're discussing that, and actually, we're gonna add additional comment to, what is that?
To recommend the dog in person to continue with the training, to confine the dog to the 36 Cottage Road, and then were we gonna add the body harness? I don't know if we can add that or not.
No.
I don't, but he has volunteered to do that.
Okay.
I don't think it's in, council has advised us that it's, we can't make him do that, so I guess.
Okay, so those would be the two additions to
Okay, are we
to the
comfortable with
remedies.
that, board? Dana, JR, Jeff, you comfortable with that? Jerry? Okay. All right. In that case, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the conditions, of the motion on the table as read? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, motion passes.